Hey, this is Craig from Soundiron, and today we're excited to announce that our Hyperion Strings Ensemble is now available for the free Kontakt 8 player and is fully compatible with all NKS standard hardware. Hyperion Strings Ensemble is a 30-piece orchestral string library featuring 8 first violins, 7 second violins, 6 violas, 5 cellos, and 4 basses. It's the perfect choice when you need the detail of a smaller ensemble, whether you're layering it with bigger orchestral sections or just producing natural divisi arrangements. With its massive array of long and short articulations, true legato, dynamic expressions, and even fluid runs, you have everything you need to craft sweeping emotive scores or high-stakes adventure themes. And when the tone shifts, the included aleatoric effects and sound design textures provide a deep toolkit for building tension in dark orchestral and horror compositions. For this update, we've also added a new follow mode, and this feature allows you to shape dynamic performance phrases with the ability to change notes mid-playback or even craft melodies on the fly, making this library even more versatile than ever. So in this video, we're mostly going to be checking out some of the new features, but if you want to learn all the ins and outs of Hyperion Strings Ensemble, you can head over to the YouTube playlist and check out the full in-depth walkthrough. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. So one of the really awesome things about this library now being available for the Kontakt player is that load times are going to be so much quicker. So if you're using the multi-mic NKIs, which have 4 mic positions, it's going to load much quicker. But you also have some other options as well. So if you want to just use the close mic, stage, mid, or far to cut down on resources, you can do that. We also have some other combinations in the multi-mic. So if you go into the multi-mic folder, let's say we click on first violins, you have legato, longs, shorts, expressions, effects, and then master. So you can really have even quicker load times because these are a little bit more curated as far as the types of articulations that are included. Or you can just load up master and it'll have everything, which is a lot. It's a lot of articulations in this library. All right, so now I want to start talking about the new follow mode, which I'm really excited about, and I'm really glad we were able to get it into this update for making it Kontakt player. So we recorded real dynamic expressions for this library, from crescendos, decrescendos, of various different tempos, with swells and things like that. And before, when we didn't have this feature in, whenever you would play an expression, so these are just the 4-count swells. So if you were to do something like changing notes mid-expression, you hear when I trigger that new expression, it starts from the very beginning. But now, if you have follow enabled, and right now we just have the playback set to normal, let's check this out. You can now change notes mid-expression, making it really that much more useful, especially when, because players don't always just play one note throughout something like a swell. And to me, it makes this so much cooler to use because it's a real dynamic expression. You can't fake that with a mod wheel, even though, with dynamic blending and stuff, it sounds great. But with this, these are recorded swells, so you had those real dynamic bowing and, going from soft to forte to piano. So now just being able to do that, it's just so cool. So it's just really cool that now you can just play various notes and change the melodies midway. And one of the really cool things about this feature too is you can use it to craft melody lines. So even though it's a dynamic expression, you can still, as you're overlapping notes, you just have to play it like legato. So if you're getting these transitions, but you're getting them mid-dynamic, which is really cool. So these are just the swells. Let's check out some of the other articulations. So there are some decrescendos. These are some of my favorite to use when it comes to this mode. So let's check this out. So you have these 8-count decrescendos, so you have a lot of this nice decay that you can change notes on. And if you're doing stuff with melodies, it's really cool. So let's check that out. So as long as you are not playing any notes too late in the expression, you will just be able to just play a whole melody, which is awesome. And then you could also do the same thing with crescendos. So if you're building these tense chords, and it's just so cool because it takes these real dynamic expressions and it just makes them so much more useful. Because you could do that with a sustain patch, but since these are real recorded crescendos, it just sounds that much more realistic. So in regards to the playback modes, what you've been hearing is normal, so it's the expressions recorded at the tempo that they were playing. So you can also sync this to your DAW, so depending on what tempo, as long as it's not too fast, it might sound a little unrealistic, so definitely play around with that. One other option is this variable option, and what this allows you to do is manually be able to control the speed of the playback. So you have this slider right here, you can learn this to a MIDI CC, so if you're wanting to learn it to this, let's check this out. So that's the swell basically pulled as far back as it can go. So if you listen to this normally, let's check this out. And now variable. So I really like how this sounds, even though it is slowing down the expression, it still sounds pretty natural and it makes you get a little bit more mileage out of the swell. So if you want it to be a little bit more drawn out, so you can really utilize these a little bit more than just a 4 count, you can do that. Or if you want to increase it, you can hear it played back really fast. So you have even more flexibility as far as being able to shape the speed of these expressions using these different playback modes. So everything you've been hearing so far is just using the ensemble patch, and these are great just for being able to just quickly sketch, and I really like being able to sketch using some of these different expressions because it's just so much more inspiring, I think, to just be able to load up an ensemble and then quickly going over some of the user interface. Make sure to watch the full walkthrough because I play through a bunch more articulations, going over a little bit more in depth in the different features, because there's a lot with this library. This library really gives you a ton of control. So up here you have a few options as far as the body, so if you want to add a little bit more or take a little bit away, as far as the low end of the instrument. You have attack, offset, this niente slider right here, which is really cool. This really allows you to shape the beginning volume of the mod wheel. So if you have this all the way down, so you can hear with the mod wheel all the way down, it still sounds relatively soft. Or you can get rid of that. Some people I know like it to where at the very bottom of the mod wheel there's just no sound. But if you want to shape that, that's what this slider's for. So when you have it all the way up, you can still hear sound. I usually like it around the middle. That way you still have a little bit of sound when you first play the keys, but then you can use the mod wheel too. And then you have your slot system right here. If you want to look up articulations, you can head over here and you can see all the different articulations. This is just another way that you can load stuff up. So make sure to click this little magnifying glass over here and you can see that you have some other articulations that maybe you might miss, because if you click this list, there's a lot. There's way more in the individual sections. In the ensemble, we basically consolidated down to the essential stuff that we thought would be useful for an ensemble patch. So you have a lot of options here. You also have an effects page where you can do some EQ, compression, filtering. You have the space tab here. This is really awesome because you can see that you have this virtual sound stage where you can place the players, and it really helps with just being able to quickly push the players anywhere on the virtual sound stage. You have an algorithmic and a convolution reverb with a hall and a room. Or if you go to convolution, you have some other options down here. So a lot of reverb options and some controls for how you shape the mix. There's a play assist. This is great for if you are new to creating music and you don't have that much knowledge of scales and being able to play in different keys. This allows you to basically be able to have the keyboard be a certain scale, so you can play around with that. So it's a very useful feature if you are new to music. Then you have this arpeggiator right here. Here you can create some different arpeggiated grooves. There's a lot of really cool options for how you can choose that. And then you have this ensemble tab right here. For this ensemble patch, basically, instead of it being the mixer view, you have basically the section mixer sort of thing. So you have your basses, cellos, violas, and violins. We consolidated first and second violins together for this one. But you do have the option of being able to load up first and second violins separately. So if you want to really get in deep with your divisi writing or layering different sections, you can do that too. So I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite mic positions is the stage player mics, and these just have a great detailed sound. So I think there's a little bit of reverb that we've included in this. This is the algorithmic reverb, but if you turn this off, you'll hear it's got that super dry. But if you want to use the reverb that is built into here, you can do that. This is just, a quick little way that you can utilize some reverb. If you don't have your own reverb plugins, then you can use this. It's just, click away. And then if you have your own, you can turn this off and blend with those. And yeah, you can really get a nice detailed sound. And you really have all that control because we recorded these mics they were purposefully made to just be super dry and really just give you that layer of detail when you need it. All right, so before we wrap up this video, I want to play for you a few different demos that show this library in action. As I mentioned at the beginning, you can use it for emotive scoring, high action adventure, orchestral cues, or even dark cinematic horror tracks. So this library is not meant to be a one-trick pony. It's really meant to just be that workhorse when you need it. So let's check these out and show you what it can do. Alright, so that about wraps up this video. If you want to learn more about Hyperion Strings Ensemble and get it on intro sale, head over to soundiron.com or click the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date on future videos, and we will see you soon.